So we're going to do a desert landscape now. You can see it's one of my sketches. I like the desert feel. It's really cool, but we can start off with a nice foundation. So if you go to Freepik, we can go and type in desert. And Freepik has awesome, elements to use. And what we're going to do, we're going to find a nice layout here. So you can see it's already got some basis for a nice desert feel. Try and find something that we can use. This one on the top, it looks nice as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to download that. So you can see we've got these graphics here designed by Freepik, and we're not going to use all of it. So we're just going to get the paths we want. So I'm just going to ungroup everything. So you just select it all and then you press Control Shift G, and that's going to ungroup. You can also go to Object and ungroup here. And we're just going to, move out this text. And we're going to grab the camels and the mountains or the sand dunes there. And we'll just get rid of the back bit. And we're just going to grab this and then copy that into our artboard over here. And then what I'm doing, holding Shift and scaling that up. Make sure you delete any excess shapes you don't need. I'll move that sketch to the side there. And I'm just going to start to place it within the artboard we have. And I'm just going to use Shift and scale that down. Just like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this camel here. You can see it's a nice silhouette and that's what we want. But in our sketch, it's in the back there. So I want to make it more like that. You can see I've done up here. It gives it a nice depth and looks like it's far away. So it adds a bit of scale into the piece. I'm going to move that to the side. But first I'm going to select the selection tool. I'm going to drag this up so we get some height with the mountains there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one in the back. And we're just going to have two mountains here. And then I'm going to scale this one up a little bit more. And what we can actually do, we can actually move this to the side. And I'm going to move this by selecting the anchor point with the direct selection tool. And you can actually move these anchor points. So I'm just going to move that to the side there. And I'm just going to edit this, make it smooth. That's looking good. And then I'm going to bring this camel back in and I'm going to scale it down. And we'll put it on the corner here. And we'll just bring it to the back. And we'll leave that there for now. So it looks like there's scale and it looks like they're in a big desert. And then I'm going to use the rectangle tool to create a nice sky now. You can put that in the backward. And what I'm going to do is, if you go to on the right hand side, you go to a gradient panel. You can go to window and gradient to open that. And I'm going to click on that gradient. And what it's going to do is make a gradient on that shape. And what I can do is edit these colors now. And if you want to change the angle, you can actually click this button here and just change the number to about 90 degrees. And you can see now we've added this little sky and it's switched it from 90 degrees. You can also click this little button to reverse that effect as well. As you can see that, you can reverse it. So whatever you feel, if you want it to be like more dusk or dawn or morning, you can play around with that. And I'm going to brighten up these colors a little bit. And actually I might use these reds that I did before. And you can just play around with these gradients there. So that looks good. And then I'm going to play around with these colors for these as well. So because there's shadows, we actually want these parts to be darker. So whatever side you do it, if you want it to be this side or this side, you got to make one side lighter and the other darker. So we can actually switch it and make it feel like the light's coming from the left. And then I'm going to select this and then press I for the eyedropper and just select this color here. So it looks like it's melting. Looks like it's blending in with the background there. And we're going to add a sun by using L for the ellipse tool. And we're just going to blow this up, holding Shift and Alt. And we're just going to make that a nice yellow color from up here. Or even just a light, even just an orange. And we can actually add a gradient on this. So what I can do with my gradient, go to your gradient panel again and drag the color from the swatch and drag it down. And then we're just going to drag these ones off. Holding Alt, you can actually drag the slider and it's going to duplicate that, and then just click and drag the other ones you don't want. Just drag down and it will get rid of it. So I'm going to double click on this slider here in the gradient box and actually make this lighter. So I'm going to make that lighter like that. You can also go to CMYK by pressing the drop down, this little menu here in the corner, and we can actually make it a yellowish tint. Nothing, just something subtle. And cool, so we've got that color, and what we can actually do is switch this gradient type to radial. So if I go to radial there, you can see now it's adding a radial gradient, so from the center to the outward. You can also reverse it to get this type of effect. I can reverse it to get that type of effect. So it's looking pretty sweet. And you can play with the slider again. Make sure the object's selected. So you can play with the slider to get like cool effects, to make it more evident. And then what I'll do, I'll go to my appearance or transparency panel, and then I'll start playing with these blending modes to see what it can look like. So maybe you want it more lighter or orangey. You can see I kind of want it to be really more subtle, so I think screen looks nice, so you can see that. And it still has that gradient effect to it, and it looks really good. So it makes it look like the light is coming this way. Another thing you can do as well is we can actually add another circle like this, and we can use the same gradient, but instead I'm going to make it a linear, and we're going to go 120 degrees. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this opacity 0. I'm going to reverse it. And I might make this a bit lighter. Like that. And then once again, you can play around with the blending modes to make it look like there's more light coming that way. So you can see the difference there. You can play around. Color dodge actually looks nice. And we can put it over the whole thing if you want. So you can see it just adds a nice effect. See that it adds a bit more color and vibrancy. So it looks like the light is coming from this corner here. I can rotate that a little bit. You can edit the sliders as well. So you can see it's adding a bit more light to this corner here. So yeah, that's how we make this nice landscape. We can actually make some clouds as well. You can also go on Freepik and get for clouds, but sometimes it's okay to make your own. So what I would usually do, I'd use the ellipse tool and make circles like this. I'm just going to change the color so you can see it. So we'll stick with white. And then what I'll do, I'll just do heaps of these, but I'll just use different sizes. So you've got to use a variety. Just add some different sizes here. Copy and paste with Alt or Option if you're on a Mac. And so I'm just copying and pasting. And then what I'll do is try and get like put it in a box sort of, and then I'm gonna get the pen tool, click, click. So we can have this shape like this. And what I'll do, I'll bring them all together and go to my Pathfinder tool and unite them. Click that button there, the first one. And you can see here, maybe I wanna edit this. Maybe I wanna cut this bit off. I can select this and actually just knock that out. So the second one is to cut objects off with a shape on top, and the first one's to unite it. So you can see here I made a cloud. Doesn't look that crazy, it's pretty simple. And then what I'll do is play around the blending modes again, see what works. Overlays are alright, and then I'll drop the percentage or the opacity to about 50%, and you can see it just makes it subtle and light, and that's all we want. And then I'll just copy it. And then what I like to do is flip it. So if you go to Transform panel, there's a cool shortcut. You can see you can go to Window, Transform. And what you can do is click on the drop down menu on the right corner of that window. And you can go Flip Horizontal. This is a short way to flip an object. And you can see now the object's flipped like this. So you don't want to have too many of the same objects. And then I would scale it down. And then make some more copies of it. You could also make more clouds than this one. So if I want to make another one, I can just go through, you know, add circles again to make it look different. And then once again, Pathfinder Unite. And then maybe it's looking too blocky. So maybe I can just do that. And then bring that back. Looks like some weird clouds, but it's okay. And then I can get the eyedropper and select that color down there. And there you have it. Play around the sizes, move them around. Make sure there's enough spacing. We don't want to clog the space. Make sure it's even. So that's how you do like a nice simple desert landscape. You can add more stuff in the background. You know, you can add birds or whatever, more shadows. But this is pretty simple to do.